Good morning. I'm News Director Jenna Clay, and joining us for today's People and Perspectives is Brandon Valentine. He is the founder and president of the Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jenna.
And you are not only the founder of this amazing organization, you're a musician. I mean, you're in the scene, you're in like 28 different bands probably. So
That's
you
right.
have a love of music. Is that what made you start this organization?
Yeah, I think that was definitely kind of where the foundation started for me and the thought actually started. I've been in several bands since my high school days. So I don't want to give you a time frame on how long that's been, but it's been a while. And from acoustic acts to full bands to cover bands to original bands, there's a broad range of perspective there, and I still stay active in the music scene. Still currently a drummer in two bands, as well as a songwriter on the side as well. So I think my personal love of music and involvement in the local music scene is kind of where this thought stemmed from, because I saw kind of an unmet need in the area of an organization that is there for the musicians themselves.
So what is the organization about? What do you guys do?
Yeah, I think that the main mission statement of the organization is to recognize, support, and grow the local music scene. So everything we do kind of tries to live by that principle. But it is set up as a nonprofit organization. The 501c3 status is currently pending. So as soon as that goes through, that kind of opens up a whole new door of corporate donations. We're thrilled about getting that approval. But again, going back to the recognizing, supporting, and growth, your question is, what does the organization do? And really, we were focused in the beginning about really recognizing the musicians. And that kind of comes in the form of our local Grammy type ceremony. That we have two great co-hosts, yourself as well as your previous partner Chachi Angelo. So thank you for participating in that. But as that portion of the recognition to try to really shine a spotlight on the best of the best in this area from the year previous. So in this case, our award ceremony is coming up. We're acknowledging the best of 2020 in our local Grammys type setup. And as we formed the organization, that was really the intent. With that mixed in with some, youth services and education, and we've really had to pivot this year here. So now we're wide open to anything we can do really to help recognize, support, and really our mantra is recognition plus support equals growth for the overall music scene. So there's been a lot of different activities we've tried to incorporate this year to help support our scene.
And when you say music in 2020, we hear 2020, and I don't know about you, but I cringe just a little bit. But honestly, 2020, I think, showed a lot of people how important music is. I mean, a lot of us used music and local music to help us kind of cope with the year.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, live music itself is one of those things, I hear a lot of, we try to improvise here. We try to do live streams. It's just not the same as being there in person. Some of the feedback you get is, it's attending a live music show, whether it's a national act, a regional act, or heck, even a local cover band. Feeling the thump of the bass in your chest and, feeling the sound waves. I think it does something not only physically, but, also mentally for you. And it's a medicine unlike any other. They say laughter is the best medicine. And if that's true, possibly music is the second best medicine. And live music, that is. I think everybody kind of relates. It does something in the sensory portion of the brain and really invokes happiness. And, we're grateful that we're able to do that in some light with the live streams. But like you said, 2020 has been a different animal, and we're really excited to get back to a much larger scale in terms of the live music.
And not only listening to live music, but playing instruments as well. I mean, being in a band yourself, I mean, you know what that's like. So is that a big part of the nonprofit? I know that you guys go into the community and help teach these kids so that they can feel that emotion and that sense of this is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, we talk about some people as far as fans or viewers of live music, they need it from a therapeutic end, but it goes one and the same from the musician end. I have that constant need and thirst to get out there, perform, and share. So by having our nonprofit focused in education and really youth education, it's helped kind of bringing those types of mentalities from an early age into focus that, kids I don't know, right now it's such an immediate gratification society. Kids like to, play a video game, and if they fail at the video game, they start right away again. It's just a restart the level kind of thing. And music is almost like, I say baseball is like a sport of failure. If you bat 300, that means you're failing 70% of the time, but that's a successful at 30%. Getting a hit 30% of the time qualifies you for the Hall of Fame, if you do it over a long
Right.
um, and music is one and the same. If you have a piece of sheet music in front of you at an early age, as a kid, say in middle school or high school or whatever, and you play 95% of the notes correctly and miss 5% of the notes, the focus there is on the 5% of the wrong notes because they will stand out. And in any other subject, that's an A. A 95% is outstanding. So I think, bringing that focus to kids at an early age of focusing on, maybe you might not get an immediate reward out of music, but the long-term benefits of playing a musical instrument or singing, and wherever you want to go with that, if it's a local act, a regional act, or shooting for stardom, the returns on that is plentiful because we're in the mode right now in 2020 where we want to be on stage. We want to share our musical talents, and people want to hear them. So I think if we can inspire youth at this point and educate them anyway on playing a musical instrument or just flat out being interested in music, it automatically, equals growth for our scene long term.
So what programs are in place for that, and how do people find out about it or get involved in it?
Sure, it's a great question. Yeah, I think the standard answer is always the website's always a good starting point. So the acronym for our organization, being the Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame, would be CPMHOF. So the website is cpmhof.com. There's additional information there about our youth education programs, as well as an opportunity for a support page, which we're always accepting donations to go towards our youth education programs. So some of the things we've done in the past, obviously 2020 being notwithstanding because it's a difficult year, but we've done some youth education music camps where we actually have a teacher who has her master's in music education provide basic music skills when it comes to learning, say, instruments like a ukulele, very simple instrument with 4 strings and few number of frets, all the way down to bucket drums, to just kind of feeling the beat of the drums. And we've had kids as small as age, I'd say 3 or 4, and the whole way up to probably 12 to teenagers. So broad spectrum of applying to the youth in terms of these musical education camps. Larger than that, we also like to recognize a educator of note. We call the Educator of Note Award. So a little play on words there with Educator of Note. But we get some submissions throughout the year from music educators in our area, people who have done a great job of educating the youth in their own right in public or private schooling, and really kind of reviewing those resumes to acknowledge the best and best of that area from the teacher aspect. So this year at the award ceremony, we'll be acknowledging Mr. Richard Miller of the Hershey School District as our 2020 winner of the Educator of Note. And I think beyond that, there's something that we'd really like to get into. We haven't been able to do as of yet, but as donations increase, and really we get our 501c3 status, that opens it up to corporate educations. We'd really like donations rather. We'd really like to set up scholarships. So for deserving high school students who stand out and are shining stars in their high school musical education, who want to go to college and major in some form of music or recording or performance, to provide assistance for them financially in terms of a scholarship.
And I assume you are still in need of maybe some donations for the upcoming event?
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of the crux of the donations, where they start, we'll say. So whenever we kind of advertise for donations / sponsorships, any financial resources that we're able to obtain, either from businesses via sponsorships or also personal donations, it goes towards supporting the scene in general, and we define that as supporting the annual awards ceremony as well as our youth music education program.
And this is the second annual Central Pennsylvania Music Awards. And when I hear about all the things that this organization is doing, you would think you've been around a long time. You really haven't. It's been a couple of years. I mean, what is your reaction to how much this has grown so quickly?
Yeah, it's the success has been overwhelming, to be honest. When we started this organization, kind of putting pen to paper, coming up with a business plan on how we can support the local scene. It was in 2019. And we really hit the ground running probably around, I'd say, the November timeframe in 2019. And that gave us 2 months to advertise the first annual Central Pennsylvania Music Awards and Hall of Fame induction ceremony and put tickets up for sale. And we didn't know what to expect. I think the musicians, the populace of our area didn't really know what to expect out of it. So as far as, advertising efforts, we actually had a partnership with a donation for a billboard in downtown Harrisburg on 2nd Street. So we were able to get some advertising opportunities as a nonprofit from the get-go, and, sold out the Whitaker Center within 56 days, I think, of ticket sales going on, which is an incredible feat. It really showed the support that our local music scene currently has, and kind of the trust in the people of our local music scene, because that was one of the important things from the beginning, is to make sure that we involve ourselves. We structure a board of directors and an advisory committee with a lot of like-minded, positive individuals who also had a passion for the music scene. So I think that was kind of attributed to the early success. But knowing that we sold out the event, it was really like, wow, this truly was an unmet need, and people get the concept we were going for. I remember, walking out of the green room before the ceremony when we were kind of doing our pre-show planning. I walked out with my wife and just saw a lobby packed with people, dressed from sophisticated looking evening wear to, everybody points out, the band attire / face makeup of the Suicide Puppets. It
Those
was such a
crazy boys are the suicide puppets, I'll tell you.
I know, right? By the way, they won Best Metal Band last year, and they were in full garb, full regalia, full face makeup, and everything, and it was great. But seeing that moment and seeing, some people were dressed as if they were about to open up for a national act, and they had, ripped jeans and whatever fits their band style on, while others, had full ties and suits and evening dresses like it was, the actual Grammys. And at that moment, it was a wow moment for me, where it was like, wow, people got it, what we're going for. And there was such a sense of family togetherness, and like we're all part of the same music scene. So if we can encourage each other instead of being a competitive nature, it really changes the vibe of our area in a positive manner. So it was extremely successful from the ceremony, and extremely rewarding to sell it out year one. And we're anxious about year two and into the future.
You gave me chills because you put me back in that moment. Because as you said, Chachi and I hosted, and we're hosting again, and I didn't expect it to sell out either. So like seeing that packed Whitaker Center was a little bit overwhelming, and I was very nervous, I'll say. But it was, I mean, knowing that this group is musicians who just love what they do, it made it, it's a family. So it was just nice, a really big family. So that it's just a cool scene. What
Yeah,
do
it
you
doesn't feel like you're presenting to strangers, right? It feels like
Right.
you're
Yeah,
presenting to
just,
friends. So,
look
yeah.
at their faces, and they're the ones I'm seeing on stage usually playing for me, so
Right.
just we swap places.
That's right.
So what do you see for the future of this organization, or what is your hope?
Yeah, I mean, 2020 taught us that if anything, we need to be agile and willing to adapt. We left the ceremony last year anticipating, okay, we have, virtually 12 months to plan next ceremony, and that would kind of be it. And in between, we would focus on youth education, and, not being quarantined, not being around, or having the ability to be around a lot of people, in a close environment. It turned into live streams. So we had zero expectation of doing, over 100 live streams. We were able to donate over $1,000 to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, which is also a nonprofit. We were able to raise more than $20,000 for local musicians. We did virtual tip jars on the live streams. So being able to have 100% of all the donations that came in go directly to those musicians, and a lot of them were full-time musicians, and their livelihood was in jeopardy. Gigs were canceled, venues were closed. So we were happy to provide that medium. So, like I said, I mean, in terms of being agile and adaptive, I mean, that's what we're here for. Anything that really equals support and growth for our scene, we're open. We get recommendations all the time. Try to do this, try to do that. So the future is kind of a question mark in that light. But as far as my hope, I see this only growing. I see the award ceremony, requiring a bigger venue. At this
Wait,
point,
what?
yes, bigger venue. That means if you want to host again, you're going to be in front of more people, Jim.
Oh, I don't know about that. No,
I
that's
know,
great.
right? But yeah, I mean, it's one thing to sell out year one. I think at this point there's probably a handful of tickets still available for year two now. They opened up an overflow area for additional tickets to kind of simulcast, but still be kind of part of the party, so people can be in the same lobby, but maybe move to a different portion to also see it if they can't or weren't able to get a ticket in the main theater area. So a bigger venue is going to be needed down the line. I see growing, obviously the inductees in the Hall of Fame. We have a large list of probably over 50 at this point on the Hall of Fame ballot for consideration, and probably another 50 who aren't on the ballot yet that could be in consideration. And we've kind of been approached with the prospect of even growing it further long term, with potentially turning this into the Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame, expanding outside of central Pennsylvania, both in the Hall of Fame respect, but maybe even having a large footprint that could serve as some sort of museum that people can come visit. One of the things that we also set up this year was what we call the Vault, and it's accepting of, not necessarily monetary donations to support the nonprofit Sense from Education, but physical donations in the form of kind of music-related relics from the past in this area. So, we've received autograph items from Taylor Swift, and, articles of clothing or musical instruments or band posters, or, we have a CD from Fuel that was provided to us before they signed their first record. So things that like kind of relate to the success of bands from this area, but that probably aren't kind of mainstream or really relate to their origins from this area. So I mean, from that respect, you asked for a 5-year or 10-year plan. It's hard to see where it goes, but knowing that it's been so successful in year one and year two, the sky's really the limit.
And give us your website one more time so people can find out about the event or donating or the museum.
Sure, it's www.cpmhof.com. And on all social media, you can find us by searching the @ symbol and then CPMHOF.
Anything else you wanted to add that we didn't already cover?
I don't know. I mean, I think if anything, I'm just extremely grateful for how successful it's been. I know we kind of talked about that. But we talk about growth plans here, and that's kind of where we end things and what it looks like in the future. And this is not, the Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame as a nonprofit organization is not about myself as the president or founder. I mean, sure, I can speak on behalf of it, somewhat serve as the face of the organization. But this isn't about me. It's not about the board of directors. It's not about the advisory committee. It really comes down to the musicians in our area, the teachers who teach music in our area, the sound, lighting guys and gals, anybody who serves our local music scene and art scene. We're in this together, and everyone's support to this point has been phenomenal, and I can only see it growing. So I'm really encouraged by everyone's contributions out there, because ultimately this is about everybody in our scene. So we're really thankful as an organization.
Well, I'm really excited to see this organization grow as well. We've been talking to Brandon Valentine, president and founder of the Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame. Thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you for having us again.